All right, we're on air. It is August 23rd, and this is a check-in meeting on active development tasks for Backdrop CMS. We're going to start off by welcoming Aytee, A-Y-T-E-E, who is currently working on porting the IMCE redirect module. So thank you for doing that work. In the land of Contrib, since last week we have a new Contrib project, the Menu First Child module. So thanks to have reported that one as well. And that's all I have for Backdrop Contrib. So I'm going to turn it over to Nate to talk about Backdrop Core.
Hey, everybody. Let's see. Sorry, I'm taking a look at Menu First Child. Okay, so 1.10.2, that's the next bug fix release. I mentioned this last week that we're kind of queuing up a lot of bug fix items that are accumulating. And 1.10.2, we could release at any time. It might be good to go ahead and push out that release just so that we don't start bumping into the hecticness that is the official release that happens on the minor release dates. So the release of 1.10.2 is likely to be imminent probably in this next week. We do still have this same one outstanding issue, 2904, about the database credentials, that we want to be more robust in our handling of the database credentials and make it so that if they need to be URL encoded or URL decoded, that we accept either mechanism and then notify the administrator in the status report if they're using the deprecated format. So other than that, we, of course, still have the list of 1.10.2 issues, which are fairly formidable. Looks like there's about 40, maybe 50 issues that are tagged 1.10.2, many of which are in the needs review state. It also looks like there's a couple of RTBC issues in here that will require some committer attention. So that's great to keep these the pipelines full, if you will, of more things to be merged in. So thank you, everybody, for your continuous work in moving those issues along into our needs review and then the RTBC status. That's a huge help. Okay, that's it for 1.10.2. That will be coming out shortly. 1.11 is the next minor release that will be coming out September 15th. Code freeze is at the end of this month, or actually the beginning of next month. We've decided that September 2nd will be the end of code freeze to give us the weekend. So Sunday, September 2nd is the end of code freeze. Sorry, the start of feature freeze. And then the official release of Backdrop 1.11 will be coming out the 15th. So let's go through the hit list here of priority issues, most of which have seen some more action this past week. Contact module improvements. OP has been going through, and we've been iterating on contact module improvements here throughout the release cycle. There's currently some RTBC issues regarding messaging and some issues that need review for adding permissions to the contact form settings page, and then a half dozen issues that have already been merged in. So that continues to kind of roll along slow and steady. And I think that we're going to have a great collection of improvements to contact module. We actually already do have a great collection, but more are on the way. So some of those could use some additional review, and some of them are already ready to be committed. Color module. Big news in color module meta issue is that we merged 3186 this past week. That's the new live preview of the color module capabilities. So in combination with Basis module, or Basis being colorified, now the out-of-box experience for color module is substantially improved. We do still have one more issue that I would like to call out as needing some help, is making some predefined color schemes for Basis. That's 3209. That right now, out of the box, you just have the blue basis theme, and that's it.
I thought we were going to use the predefined color schemes from Bartik that had already been updated for Backdrop.
Well, I think we're open. I think that's where we were wanting to start because it would save us from needing to do
scratch.
Yeah, anything from scratch. It looks like also we had Harry Flat came in and did some attempts at some predefined color schemes. Looks like he started from scratch. It doesn't look like these are copied from Bartik. Gregory did pull it out, saying that we should use Bartik. So anyway, basically, that needs some reviewing and possibly some more work. It doesn't look like the current approach has actually used the Bartik schemes. It actually also looks like there's not even a pull request here. He just screenshotted the color schemes that he assembled as recommendations. So they're not quite at the code level readiness quite yet here. So it's still kind of in brainstorming. But yes, I think we've all talked about using Bartik as the basis for Bartik as the basis. Bartik for basis. Okay. Anyway, it's still very exciting. That 1-2 punch of color module improvements of colorifying basis and the new color preview and UI is really great. This meta issue 1905 could possibly use some cleanup because there's kind of a lot of ideas that are way out there in the meta. It'd be good at this point to revisit what it is that we actually want to accomplish with color module and clean up the kind of attempts that went out that we might not ever get to. Like there was a lot of crazy ideas and we kind of settled on what Joseph had put together. And so maybe some of those other ideas don't really make a whole lot of sense for us to pursue at this point. Okay, next up, node preview is 3062. There hasn't been activity on this one in this past week, but it's still marked needs review. So that is basically hanging out there, awaiting more code feedback and more usability testing. So 3062 is still for node preview is still in a good place. It just needs more eyeballs essentially and more testing. Core updates issued 2018. We would like to make it so that ultimately Core has automatic updating capabilities, and we split this into a couple of different steps. We have a longstanding pull request for this entire cycle, 3105, that makes it so that Core itself can be updated via the user interface. The status of that one is basically still needs review. The problems that we've had with it, I think, have been resolved at this point, but it is something that is a little bit dangerous for us to be shipping, and I think we're on the fence about this one. Like, nobody wants to market RTBC because we can't add testing for it. So really, comprehensively being confident about this requires a lot of testing, a lot of manual testing, and it's difficult to manually test. So I think everybody's kind of feeling like we can't really have a high degree of confidence in it at this point. But more testing, basically. Even though it's difficult, if we can get more testing on that, then it is still a candidate for including it in 1.11. Issue 1992 is package signing, making it so that the packages that are downloaded from backdropcms.org or in reality from GitHub, that those have stronger checking on them to make sure that the packages are not corrupted or intercepted in any way. This is still proof of concept and probably not going to be something that's in 1.11. And then finally, deprecating authorized.php and removing it later is issue 3208. which would enable us to have automatic update capabilities in the future. In reality, we could already have automatic update capabilities and leave authorized.php in place. But in the interest of pursuing simplicity, deprecating and ultimately removing authorized.php really simplifies the overall updating capabilities of Backdrop. So far, there hasn't been any strong opposition in that issue. If you do have strong opposition to removing authorized.php and its capabilities, it would be really great to hear that voice and describe, why authorized.php makes sense, or what kind of use cases you have in which you utilize it. Okay, keep going. The next couple of items here are all file related. Using EXIF data to rotate images, 2887. This one has been, it's overall a minor feature, but we've been calling it out because we thought that we could get it in a couple of weeks ago. But this has now been RTBC. The last step that we had here was adding automated testing. Thanks Herbduel for coming in and adding the testing to the existing pull request. And so that one is now moved into ready to be merged. Rich text editor file uploads. Keep saying file uploads. This is really the file browser. So the file browser is issue 3134. And I reviewed this one this past week to add transitions as the dialog expands and collapses to show the image browser capability. But in reviewing, I found that there's still some caveats here that are really kind of critical that we figure out. The Ajax inside of the view is not working currently, which is critical if you've got multiple pages of images. And so we need to figure out this JavaScript related error. Actually, there's no error on the page, which is part of the problem in figuring out where it comes from. But the pagering and filtering capabilities of the view don't work inside of the image browser dialog. And I think Herbduel had noted, or not Herbduel, Gram72 had noted that prior to the last release, when we updated jQuery UI, things had been working. So it could be related to some changes in the underlying libraries there, but the underlying cause right now is unknown. So we need to figure out with some debugging efforts why we're having this particular problem. Also secondary, but also major problem, updating images doesn't work either. Like inserting new images works great, but if you select an existing image and then try to replace it with a different image, that no longer works correctly. So issue 3134 still in really great shape overall, but has some major issues that it doesn't look like that the fixes would be complicated, but we need to figure out where the fixes actually need to be placed. And lastly, issue 2632. This issue hasn't been getting called out during weekly meetings, but fieldable file bundles. Doc Wilmot has been pushing forward on this pretty much throughout the release cycle. And as of this week, he is claiming that that is ready to go, that it's totally complete at this point. I think even including testing functionality. He says that there's just one more test failure that needs to be addressed, but this is ready for review for consideration. He says that it was marked as being 1.12, but it's at the state that he believes that it could be 1.11, a 1.11 candidate. So if we push on that one and get some feedback on 2632, that's another thing that we could potentially get into this next release, which is exciting. So that would make for a great collection of file-related improvements between all three of those taken together. And lastly, one last issue, issue number 37, which I think is one of our oldest open issues. making it so that modules have tags in addition to categories. No updates on this one this week, so I won't recap it again. That's it for the key 1.11 updates. There's also some other minor issues in the GitHub issue tracker. Check the 1.11 milestone on GitHub. That's it. Let's see, Jeff isn't around this week, so maybe we'll skip over the Backdrop for Good volunteering section. We got Olaf in this meeting. Do we want to get a translation site update? No? Okay. All right, we'll pass on that. So on to just general discussion and Q&A. If you guys have anything you guys would like to call out, unmute now.
Hey, what's happening with BADCamp? Have we talked with anyone about where our summit's going to be located and whether it can be near the nonprofit summit?
I haven't talked to anybody, but I think we have a location. So I will talk to someone.
Yeah, because I mean, you know, the nonprofit summit has those breakout sessions that they do, like little mini sessions, and it would be great if we had like a backdrop one where it's like invite the nonprofit people over to the backdrop one to like learn about backdrop for nonprofits. So we schedule at the same time and have a cross summit thing. So anyway, it'd be great if it wasn't across town like last year. Okay. I submitted a backdrop session on migrating Drupal 7 sites to backdrop. I'm going to go through the process. It would help on some like test sites and stuff like that. It would help to have some examples of real life websites that have made the upgrade from Drupal 7 to backdrop, if people know of any of those.
I have a few.
Okay. Yes, I would love to get a list of those from people just so we can see that it has been done. And if anyone has a good test site that maybe you, Jen, have like a test site that I can like use as an example during the talk, that might be good too.
Like a sanitized database dump of something.
Yeah.
You think, okay. Yeah.
So I'm not going to run anything live. I'd like to like, you know, actually like, you know, have slides of like the different steps that you take. Yeah, I called the session like I think it was like upgrade your Drupal 7 site to backdrop in 3 easy steps. It's probably going to be more for most people, but theoretically, if they have a standard Drupal 7 site with no like bells and whistles, they could just install backdrop, throw in the database, and hit update, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to show them that and then sort of discuss contributed modules and all the other stuff that people upgrading from Drupal 7, if it gets accepted. Hopefully it gets accepted. If not, maybe we can actually do that talk at the summit or something.
Okay.
Great.
Anyone else submit any backdrop sessions?
I submitted our usual 2, and Nate submitted his 101 usability improvements in backdrop talk. He doesn't know he submitted it, but he did. I don't know how many backdrop talks they're going to accept, so we will have to see. I did specifically mention that we could do our normal talk as 1 session instead of as 2, and they seemed interested in that, so that they wouldn't need to. Oh, some of them wanted both, but I think, yeah. So we've, I think, got some flexibility there, but I don't know what that'll turn out to be.
It's too bad this isn't another year of radical inclusion where every session is accepted, because then then we can have our own
backdrop track.
It wouldn't be a track because there's no tracks at BADCamp this year.
Well, there's infinite tracks at BADCamp this year. You got that wrong.
Categories, yeah, or track tags. That's what they're trying.
Okay, well, let's see what they say. I think the ball's in their court.
Yeah.
Is our sessions still open for another couple of days? No, nope. They're done. Okay. Done.
You're stuck with the one that Jen submitted for you.
Okay, well, 1 is good enough for me. Oh, 2 probably, actually. So, okay. Anybody else? Anything they'd like to bring up? Okay. Okay, well, we've got, it looks like 1 week until the 30th, and then we've got the weekend after that. So we've got a lot of work ahead of us still. There's lots of great things that are already in the 1.11 release. It'll be, another iterative great release no matter what, but we've got a lot of things that we can still knock out in this next week. So I'm looking forward to it. I'll try to allocate as much time as possible to reviewing things and doing the merging. And yeah, let's knock it out, this last week.
Yay.
Yay.
Thanks, Dr. Lamont.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. It's been great seeing you again, and we'll catch you guys next week.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.